Ladies and gentlemen, Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good day trading today. Market is down. You can see S&P is down about 0.25% there. Nasdaq's down about 0.6%. Semiconductor down about 1%. I think the semiconductor was down as much as 2-3% earlier today, if I can remember correctly. Looks like we did see a little bit of recovery there towards the end of the day. Dow pretty much flat. Small caps flat. Banks up a little bit. Energy's up 2.3%. Transport's down 0.5%. Biotech, emerging market, let's just say they're kind of slightly up, flat there. Grayscale Bitcoin continues to tumble. They're down 10% today. Gold, silver, and miners, they are up. They've been steadily going up the last month or so, and I'm glad to see the miners and the metals making some run there recently. We got the oil down or positive 1.5%. Dollars pretty much flat. Treasury bond down a little bit. VIX popped a little bit there. Let's stick with the S&P Spider 65-minute chart here. So we talked about this, right? I've given you every video. I give you an exact scenario and a potential level to look for. And so some of the things we talked about on the over the weekend analysis on the 65-minute chart portion from that video, that if this gap doesn't get filled, you know, if the bulls can't gap it over, then we're gonna see a decline. We obviously gap down, so as soon as you see a gap down, you know that it's gonna be kind of further away from filling this gap. So at that point, you're gonna expect where? So what level did we talk about if we do see a downturn today? It was that moving average, right? That short-term moving average acting as a resistance prior to it. Now potentially acting as new support. We talked about this exact level here at 413. Not to mention, this is a level where we have the what? We have the gap area support. So we specifically talked about 413 being important level should the price slide coming into this week. We see a price sliding. We come right to that short-term moving average hanging around there entire day, right? Entire day. And we see a little bit of pop there towards the end of the day, right? Hanging above 413, it is no coincidence. It is no mistake. It is not a random occurrence, right? And this is a good thing for buyers, right? We do have that cultivation of higher high in the short term. We got a couple higher lows. Can we see another higher low cultivation here? And that's important. Level 413, obviously, right? That gap area, this is where we gapped up on Friday morning. We held it. We're coming back to it. Retest, which is coinciding with both of my short-term moving averages. And we see a little bit of bounce there. So, you know, you can see that we had a micro-term consolidation today, about 4 or 5 hours. Little bit of breakout on the last hour. Can we see a follow-through tomorrow? If we can see a follow-through, hold above, I bet on the 414, 415, 10 or so first couple hours. I think there's a good chance the buyers are going to come up here and fill this gap. This gap must be filled as quickly as possible. Once that gap gets filled, it's going to act as a short-term, micro-term resistance. Sometimes, though, if there's enough bullish buying pressure, because the gap is such a, is a small size gap, there's a chance where if there's a lot of buying pressure, if this thing starts to go up pretty fast, there's a chance where this thing will just break right through it, thrust right above it, and then continue higher and then pull back a little bit at, and maybe use it as a new support and then go back to, transition back to the all-time high level there. So I think, we want to kind of, in looking at things more of a micro term, I think if we can stay above this level tomorrow, it looks like 415 flat, right? 415 flat, first couple hours. I think there's a good chance that the buyers are going to move that back up, bring it back up, the price to, and fill that gap at 418, right? So, and just again, just moving, zooming out of here a little bit, you can see that midterm moving average definitely giving us that presence, right? It does have impressive resume that every single time we see that price seeing that kind of a bounce when we the price interact with that midterm moving average. It was no difference here on Thursday. And keep in mind that, in the short term, things will fluctuate quite a bit. That's what you want to understand. The midterm of things, right? You can see that there's a fluctuations there. Market loves to take your stops out, right? And then we've talked about this here. We'll make lower lows, and it constantly do this, right? You can see that there's a higher high. You can see there's a lower low. There's a lower low here. Right here, there's a higher high. Right here, there's a lower low. All these setups are designed to trap you. Same thing right here, right? A lot of people jumping in right here, thinking that that's the start of a new huge uptrend, and then you can see that there's a low right there, right? So many people putting their stop too closely, right? Not understanding the midterm of things, looking at the market way too closely, putting their stop just underneath some of these lows. You get stopped out, market moves without you. You get stopped out, market moves up without you. You get stopped out, market moves without you. Market, you get stopped out. You know what I'm saying? Market couldn't move without you. Or you're trying to chase the top. You chase the top, market comes back down. You chase the top, market comes back down. You chase the top, market comes back down. This kind of sad stuff happens over and over and over and over again, right? So all these short-term swing trading, overnighting, scalpers, going to have extremely difficult time in this market. So you must understand the nature of this, especially in the market we've been in this year. It hasn't been easy. You can see how there are a lot of fluctuations that we've encountered this year. And if you wanted to participate in this majority of this move from 360 to 420, you must learn how to go through these fluctuations. Let's check out that oscillator, see where we're at, and see if we can extract any more information out of that. So despite the fact that we did see some support, the important level at 413, the short-term moving averages, and the gap area, you can see that the oscillator hasn't crossed back up yet. So, can we see, we talked about this on Sunday or the Saturday weekend analysis. Can we see maybe something like that, right? You can see it here. I'll show you something real quick. So let's say if this was today, right here, you can see right there. So you can see if this was today, let's just do it like that. If this was today, right, I'm going to zoom in here. If this was today, and definitely there's a short-term moving average, right? And then, we can look at it as a prior resistance, as new support, and we see a couple hours of a bounce to the upside, but you can see that oscillator hasn't crossed up yet. Right? Again, this was back in April 22nd. The oscillator is still telling us that it still kind of had a bearish connotation. Only way the oscillators can move right back up would be to see a follow through tomorrow. So let's say this tomorrow came, and you can see first 2 hours, we see continuation, and then you see that oscillator finally finally crossed up. Same thing, similar thing happened here. You can see right here, oscillator, we see a gap up next day. This was back in April 14th. We see a visible gap up and a follow through on the first hour. But you see how oscillator is still coming down, right? So it won't cross back up until you see at least several more hours of at least staying up or follow through move to the upside. Once we saw that, that's when the oscillator crossed back up, and you can see we could continue higher. So looking at things, today's move, you can see how we made initial move, came back down sideways, and we did see that little pop here right on those support areas we've been talking about. You see that oscillator hasn't crossed up yet. For that to cross up, we want to see first couple hours of bullish run and holding up. If we can see something like that, you will see this oscillator crossing back up there. And then at that point, you will see that the gap will be filled. And then it's going to try to gap back up to the new all-time high level, going above the 422.48 vicinity. I'll come back. We'll kind of re-examine the situation. Let's see if this level holds. And let's see if we can see a follow-through. Follow-through is important because We could see a little bit of pop here, but without the follow through, there's still a little bit of a, you know what I'm saying, like the micro term, there's a little bit of a selling pressure that came about earlier this morning. To nullify that and to turn it into a bullish move to the upside, we need to see a follow through tomorrow. I'll tweet things out in the morning. Enjoy your evening. Good luck trading tomorrow.